Welcome to the Smoking Word. Welcome to the Smoking Word.
What up, everybody? Welcome back. I'm doing this new thing now. I'm saying the date. Today is Wednesday, September 6th. And I'm going to give the time. So this is the first time. It's 8:22 p.m. in the Congo, South Florida. Tapping in. We are back. And I got Brooklyn via Florida. Is that how you say it, right? We say our first spots and then via is where we live now. That's how it works?
I guess, yeah. We've been here long enough between the both of us. I guess we could.
Exactly. So coming from Brooklyn Florida via Brooklyn, we got Marky Mark from fucking SHUTDOWN. I'm glad I was able to get you because I was trying to set this up for a minute, and I never thought leaving a band would be so much work. So I was dealing with a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's all good, but like just dealing with shit, taking care of a bunch of stuff. But we back, and I was glad to catch you because we're gonna talk about it. You have a lot of stuff coming up, like in the near future, because we're gonna drop this tomorrow.
Yep.
So, but before that, what's going on? And how's Florida?
It's great, bro. Great. You know that. I don't think there's any place we'd rather be than with the kids down here, right?
Oh, hell yeah. I tell everybody all the time, I'm like, they can't get rid of me. It's a wrap.
No,
like, you know what
exactly
I mean?
I've been saying it since I moved here in September 20th, 2001. We had like a going away party for me at my old parents' house in Sheepshead Bay. And mad people came out, and it was like, I wasn't going anywhere. I was just moving down south,
Yeah.
And when we did it, there was so many people there, and it was so surreal because that weekend was the weekend before 9/11, and then 9/11 happened. I mean, the whole world got flipped upside down, and then September 20th was the date I moved here. So I jumped in a car, like a beat up. My father bought me a car for $400. It was like an old brown Buick Regal. And we called it Doodoo Brown. And I jumped in a car, bro, with everything I had and made it on got a flat tire in Virginia, jumped on the train in Virginia with the car.
Yeah, I know that's actually like a hack that you could do that's actually works out sometimes. My boy did that actually. And you ride on the train down.
Sanford, it leaves you off right by Orlando and Sanford. Got off there, got a tire, drove to my grandparents' house, and then it was a wrap. That was it. I was down here forever the last 22 years, and I love it down here, bro. I love it.
Damn, 22 years already. That long, huh?
Long time.
Because I know I'm already here about 10. Yeah. So that I keep saying like, 6, 7. And I'm like, no, I'm here like 10 years. It seems like
it flies by down here because we have no seasons, bro. It's hot and hotter.
Yeah, that's what it is. I tell people that I was like, you get like maybe 2 weeks of some very like hoodie weather, and and 2 to 3 weeks if you're lucky, and then that's it. And what's up right now? How you feeling right now? You were just you had to deal with a little bit of some medical stuff that you were.
Yeah, man, I'm doing good. I even it's good to know people in the hardcore scene. So many people go through the same thing, bro. And I appreciated the support from you. But yeah, man, long story short, I got a hernia.
Yeah,
and we went to
Europe. I didn't really want to talk about it, but that's good. And why I wanted to bring that up, because the same reason, like with you, happened to me. When this shit happens, we think it's only happening to us. It happens, but it's kind of like, yo, what's this? What about you? Have 1,000 questions, and that's when you realize, not till you say you put it out there a little bit, you realize how many people had similar stuff done, or they're like,
it fucking blew my mind, bro. Blew my mind. And it was crazy. And we went to Europe in June. I really didn't have it there. I don't even think I got it there, to be completely honest with you. I came back with the kids. We went 4th of July shopping. We went to this firework place. I forget, lifted something up, something fell, something, you know what I mean? It just happened. And next thing I know, my wife's like, yo, you got like a little golf ball down in your abdomen. I'm like, what the hell? What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And I wasted no time. I went to the doctor. The doctor said, you need surgery. They can't schedule you more than like 3 weeks out. And I said, is there a cancellation list? I literally asked the girl. I said, I want to get me
right away.
And the girl was like, yeah, there might be. And they wound up bumping it up a week. And I got the surgery 2 weeks later.
Yeah, that's great. And that's a big thing, because Again, I had it from, I think, just injuries. I was like, obviously being bigger, you could have it happens. You know
Yeah.
the doctor, they tell
Happens to
you
anybody.
it just happens. It could be from weight loss, weight gain, it could just be from nothing. It could be from everything. And but I know I had it for a minute, right? And it was one
Yep.
of those that I was able to deal with.
Yeah.
And we were actually playing we went to do punk rock bowling. This is like right after the whole 3-year vacation thing. So we were doing the show with H2O, and I never forget that it was already starting to act up on me a little bit more.
That's when it gets bad.
And I remember, once it starts acting up, it's a matter of time. We went to eat. As we were walking to the venue, I'm in the middle of the casino, whatever that we were at, the fucking in the middle of everybody. I stop and I'm like, yo, I think I'm gonna have to get carried out of here.
That's literally how I was, bro. I was in Whole Foods with my kids.
Yeah.
And we were shopping. And
yeah.
I go to this place like 3 times a week with the kids. We go shopping there. And we're walking to check out. And I looked at my older son and I said, I'll meet you by the car. I got to go by the car. And I had to lay flat in the car and actually try to push it back in, just to be able to walk. And my kids, my kids saw me sweating, like they were like worried. And I said to them, I said, just relax. I'm going to be good. At that point, I knew, I said, get me the surgery. You know what I mean?
Because that's exactly what would happen. I got it to the point where I knew I would lay down and I was able to get it back in spot. And then boom, once it kicks in, you're kind of all right again. But it's just a matter of time. And what I literally, so it was acting up, but in the middle of the casino, and these guys know me for years. I've been batted down. I've been through the everything. I walk away. These guys saw me stop and say that. They were like, yo, what's up? I go, yo, man, I knew it was, I think I had my surgery set already, but I was like, yo, this is it. And then
when it gets to that point, it's unbearable.
Yeah. I pushed it in and I was fine. I chilled out. I ended up getting the surgery. But again, I was one of those guys that I was really shook. I just started going back to the doctor the last couple of years. So me too. I was right away. I was like, let's go get this shit done. But I was like, yo, I know I heard about hernias, but I'm older and this, and I'm just, my mind is going already. And then I forgot who I mentioned it to. And they're like, oh yeah, I got it. And then he was like, and then somebody else was like, yeah, I got a double. Oh, I got it like 3 times. Another, weightlifting. And I go, oh, so all right, everybody. And then they were like this, and I felt way better. That's why when I saw you put that up, I said I'm gonna hit him up because I was on the same boat, and I had a lot of questions, and I was like, and I was saying the same thing, and I was lucky that the doctor that they had given me was actually a really top-notch doctor who had done a lot of the football players. So it was good to have
he had experience.
He had, they all do, but he had good experience where they even told me, oh, you got this guy. They were like, yo, you're good. Right away when I went in, he's like, I thought I had one. He felt, he goes, oh, you got a double. And I was like, and he goes, all right, yeah, you got one. He goes, oh, the other one that you didn't feel is worse. He told me. He goes, bah, 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 and he goes, yeah, you got a double, this and that, bah, bah. So what we're going to do is this and that. I'm going to go in with this and that. You're going to go out, stay away from the gym for about 2 weeks. Then you can start slowly. It might take you a little longer, depending. But he was like, yo, I'll get you ready. And I was like, just the way he talked, I said, oh, this has happened a quadrillion times. Like, I don't got to bug out, just get it done.
That's the guy you want.
Yeah, and I felt better just because, you hear surgery, you don't know what. And then I'm thinking right here by my balls. I was like, that's all I need. I don't want,
Bro, so let me tell you, one and the same, man. We didn't want to, my whole shit was, I wanted to get fixed, but once the doctor said you have to go under anesthesia and they have to put a breathing tube in your throat.
Yeah.
Because people think they give you anesthesia. They're like, oh, you fall asleep. Yeah, you fall asleep. But while you're asleep, you're on a breathing machine for this surgery.
Yeah.
So the doctor said, yeah, technically it's a ventilator. I go, wait, what? And he goes, no, that's normal. That's what they do when people have surgery. You have a breathing tube, a trach tube, and the breathing machine breathes for you during the surgery. He goes, that's a normal thing. You don't feel it. He said, when you wake up, you're done.
Yo, and when they mentioned it to me in such passing that I didn't even realize that was going to happen to that day.
And you probably would have freaked out if you heard that like weeks before.
Yeah, like I would have had more of a problem, but I was kind of game because I already thought I was dying before that from like kidney shit, but I wasn't. So I was already like,
Just like
oh,
fucking fix
you know,
me.
whatever. But I was like, wait a minute. I go, word. Nobody talked about, you know, anesthesia, but I didn't know how I was too busy asking other questions.
I hear you.
Then
My fear was the anesthesia. I had like I have a fear since I was a kid for anesthesia. I never had surgery like that. So
Yep.
I told the doctor, I was like, is there any way we could do this with some local? And he looked at me, he's like, that's not how it works.
Yeah, that's what I said. I thought local. I thought that. And then the
I was
worst.
like, I could deal with local. I had my 4 wisdom teeth taken out with local.
Yeah.
Well, you know, but at the end of the day, bro, I'm glad I got it done. Long story short, I'm having a couple complications. I went back to the surgeon today, just like some nerve issues, you know, have like some nerve issues, but it just takes time. You know what I mean? And it's funny. I asked the doctor, I'm like, I got a show next month in Mexico City. And the doctor looked at me and he like kind of laughed. He's like, start exercising. He's like, you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things, you know, he goes, you work, you got to kind of do normal things. Just don't play yourself, you know,
go on your scar tissue and you just got to get rid of the scar. He said exercise gets rid of the scar tissue faster.
Listen, I was lucky that since I've been training, no joke, that I think whatever the limit is, they said 2-3 weeks. I was back in the gym, obviously not full bad, but enough where I was able to do stuff slowly and I felt a little bit better. Now that's why I tell you, I go, it ain't, you know, the first couple are really bad. If you don't move, you're good, but you gotta move. And it's the coughing part, you know, it's kind of that weird.
Oh my God, sneezing, it's like a gunshot wound.
Yeah, the worst. But it's good that you got that shit done, and it's good that you're able to reach out to people because
it really helped me, man. It really helped me. And you know, like Pete from Sick of It All was another one who had the surgery, and he was real cool and open about it. And he's like, yo, I had to have it done. It was his second. He said he got one 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how many people, like you said, it's funny. Like here we are talking about hernia surgeries and shit. Fucking New York.
I know, the old shit. And you know, it's funny. One of my homeboys, he's a kickboxer. His friend, another camping kickboxer, he goes in the middle of a fight, he'll stop and like pop his shit in. Like, I was
never
like,
again, bro. From
I'm too exactly.
I hope I never have one again.
Too old for that to deal with, like having popping shit in. Like, hold on, let me lay down and pop this thing in. It's insane.
Thank God it's over.
But yeah, so have you tried singing since that?
Yeah. Actually, singing and screaming is fine. We have a 13-month-old in the house, and she weighs like 24 pounds. So she was like the ultimate test. If I could lift her up, I'm good. And I've been lifting her up like literally for the last few days and feel fine, you know? My surgeon said today, he's like, you could do basically anything you want, just don't overdo it.
Yeah.
And so everything feels good. Like, it's funny, ever since probably like a year ago, I got the Melissa Cross tapes from a friend. And you know, a lot of people in the hardcore scene use those tapes, a lot of vocalists. And I'll tell you something, they help me beyond words. Like, you just do them as an exercise every day, just as a daily habit. And I'm telling you, like, even going on tour, it was as if like we're touring full time all year round, you know? So doing that, I feel fine. Yeah,
no, that for sure though. That's that type of stuff keeps you, you know, like people don't understand, like even more than just so much more warm-ups, but doing those exercises, it's, you know, helping your pronunciation. That's what it's doing.
That's what it's about. I mean? That's exactly what it's about.
Exactly. It's like breathing while you're saying and pronouncing words so you're able to hear them and whatever. So it's pretty bugged out because everybody got a different technique, you know, like
everybody, bro. Everybody. And I used to kind of take from everybody back in the day. Like I was a kid and I would see Lou warming up, you know, and Lou has his own routine, you know, everybody knows the Lou routine. Yeah. And he does his thing, you know, and he goes out there and he sounds amazing every night in, night out. Yeah. You know, never really saw Freddie do his thing. I can't say so Freddie, but Roger certainly.
Yeah, no, he's not a warm-up guy. But
Roger's not really a warm-up guy either, but I know Roger's pre-show routine.
Yeah.
You know,
some guys are warm-up guys and some guys aren't. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things. That's how it is.
For me, it helped going back to Europe, and we did like, you know, 10 days, 6 countries. I wanted to just be in top form every night. So it was like, I was just, what could I do to be prepared? So about a year before, even 6 months before, I started jogging 2 miles in the morning. I felt so good. I started doing vocal exercises because we were recording. I did a lot of like self-improvement shit.
Yeah. And when's the last time you did a show with the band?
Europe was in June when we went to Europe for
that was June, July, August. Also, let's say about what 4 to 6 months ago.
What is that? No, June, July. Oh, it's like 3 months.
Oh,
Not
sooner.
even.
Yeah, damn,
Yeah,
man.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We were just there. We were just there with
Just
No
there.
Turning Back. Shout out to No Turning Back and One King Down and Worst Out from France.
And how was that? How was that run? Because
Bro,
it's
it
been a
was
minute,
dope,
right?
bro. I mean, listen, collectively, all of the bands, we've been around 25 plus years each band. You know what I mean? Worst Out is a newer band, dope band from France, from Paris, heavy band. And we all shared a bus together. And it was like literally 20 of us on a bus, double decker, different country every day, different city every day. Martine, shout out to Martine from Stronger Bookings. He did the whole thing. Everything was done mad professionally, bro. Like, I want to tell you, Hoya, like straight up, like not every show was packed or sold out, but we were treated so well by the people that were there. Yeah. Whether they bought merch, whether, some shows were dope, bro. Some shows were festivals and were amazing, and some shows were Monday night, in the middle of nowhere. And we still had the best fucking time. And we came off that tour. You know how it is, bro. Brothers for life type shit. It's really not even about the crowds at that point. It's just about making lifelong friends.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what it was.
Let me ask you this. How's the deal with working on music now that because with us, we've always dealt with guys living in different states. So for us, we have our little routine. What are you guys doing now? How you work on music? Do you guys just kind of online or what?
No, Steve and Jimmy live in Long Island. They both have houses probably like 15 minutes from each other.
Oh, so they're good.
And in Nassau County. And Dion lives in New Jersey. But they have been playing together because they were in a band with my brother Mike called The Last Stand. They've never stopped playing together. So they practice, they rehearse, they'll write shit. Dion writes a bunch of the shit, puts it on paper, puts it on his own. He goes in his garage, records it, and that's how it starts. They go to the studio, rehearse it, send it to me, and then I tweak it.
Yeah, and that's good because if the band is together enough, that's a big plus where they could be jamming and then get the
same four guys, bro, since 1996. We've been around since 94. It's the same four guys since 96.
Yes, forever. And then right now, so when that came up to be able to do that tour, was it a tour that it was offered to you, or you guys said, hey, let's go out and do a run?
So we were supposed to go in right before the pandemic came out. We had plans to go at MAD in, I think it was October of 2020, because the first time we came back to Europe was 2019 at that Sound of Revolution Fest that Martine from No Turning Back puts on. Now it's called Revolution Calling. And that's the one side by side. They're having it next month. It's always a big festival. I'm sure you guys played it.
Yeah, we did one a bunch of years ago. Yeah, it was cool.
So always a fun festival. So it's in November. So he flew us out, one show, treated us fucking awesome. Played fucking to a few thousand people, and it was ridiculous. It was just like an amazing one-off show made, hanging out with the UK subs till 5 a.m. Next Step Up, Shelter. It was so many bands, bro. But he, after that, we started getting calls from people, and of course Big Mark from MAD called me and he's like, yo, you guys ready to come back? And I was like, of course. So he booked us a tour, and it fell through because of course then COVID hit. That got rebooked twice and fell through 2 more times with the COVID rebounds. And then it just kind of fell through where it was like, what do you guys want to do? And we've said to ourselves, ticket sales were low. We were like, yo, we don't feel comfortable going over there and headlining. We spoke to One King Down. One King Down and us have been best friends for years. I mean, we talk to them. Bill is a big part of what we're doing at Equal Vision right now. The Scoville brothers are really, really close with all of us, and the Scandato brothers specifically for a long time. So we always talked about doing something. So I hit up Martine, and he was like, yo, No Turning Back wants to do something too. He's like, let's just do it together. Let's make it like a triple threat tour. He's like, all of us, 3 bands co-headlining. And I said, I'm fucking with it. It's perfect. He said, I'll book everything. I got everything covered. The shows, the bus, the guarantee, blah, blah, blah. I said, bro, let's make it happen. And we called Bill, and he was like, yo, of course, for sure. Let's make it happen. We had the best fucking time, bro. No complaints. It was a fucking amazing tour.
Who were you on? Which label were you on before?
We were on Victory, forever.
Before,
feels like we signed our fucking life away. But it was actually 4 records, and we put out 2 in an EP. So the way they looked at it is we owed them 2 full lengths. And we always asked them to let us go. And I would be in Florida. This is a true story. And they would renew our contract every year. We get like a legal letter in the mail that they renewed our contract, and they would only do it so that they wouldn't basically let us go at that time for whatever reason. I don't know. We weren't making them any money. But they sold their rights to Concord. Universal.
I remember that.
And we were tied into that because it was all the releases, I guess, that they had put out. So 1998 was our first record with them, and then 2023 would have been 25 years. I said, "Yo, let's do a 25-year rerun, revinyl," you know. And we wrote to Concord. Dave Stein, rest in peace, actually helped us put us in touch with Concord, bro. This is even to this day, like Dave was helping us up until last year.
Of course, Dave is gonna keep helping the hardcore scene from the afterlife, because that's what really that motherfucker. Yeah,
he a very special human being. I don't have to tell you.
Oh, absolutely.
But he set us up. You know, Steve wound up writing to Concord. Steve got a letter from the lawyers at Concord that said, under no circumstances can you re-release Against All Odds. You own the music, but we own the rights to that recording. So we were like, fuck it. You know what? We'll go to the studio. We re-record like the best songs from it. We had our boy Jerry Farley, who was like producing everything now.
Shout out to Jerry, yeah, of course.
Shout out to Jerry, bro. He's been our best friend since we were teenagers. And he was like, yo, let's do it. And then we wound up paying for it ourselves, going into the studio, you know, getting a great deal, going in on our own, doing it on our own dime, like really taking control of the situation, where honestly, Hoya, as kids, like we weren't in control. You know what I mean? And it was a great feeling, you know, after like so many years to be able to do that. And Jerry helped us out, you know, so much cool stuff happened. Craig came back to the studio to do his part on the song 25 years later.
Like, that's dope.
It just felt right, bro. So we wound up recording 5 songs from the old songs. And then basically, instead of calling it Against All Odds, we call it Still Against All Odds 25 years later. So Equal Vision's putting that out this Friday.
And then how did that come up with Equal Vision?
So Bill, being a friend of ours from One King Down, shout out to Bill. He, you know, we talk to him all the time, bro. And we were talking to labels, you know, trying to figure out who to go to. You know, we're a different kind of band, you know, like the newer labels are for the new breed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
The older labels, it's like, what are we doing? We're not going to be a full-time touring band because we can't. We have families. So, but we do want to put out new music, and we do want to do kind of spot dates and pocket tours where we can do that. And we do want to do that. So we just kind of talked to Bill about it, and he's like, yo, I'll put it out. Like Equal Vision will put it out. I think it's a match made in heaven. You know, we got the old school history, and I couldn't agree more. You know what I mean? Like I look at Equal Vision as, you know, back in the day up until now, you know, for hardcore, very important label.
I love them. I love them.
I love Equal Vision, bro. Steve's always been good to us.
Yeah, Steve's great. They all are. And I think why I love now, like they're still doing that. Like, you know what I mean? Like again, still
doing their thing. You know, putting out pop bands, but still looking out for hardcore bands.
That's what I'm saying.
That be a testament to that.
They could do the whole indie stuff, which they always did in that lane, and then still do this because for the love of it, because you know they don't have to, because you know, just the bands they got just from the merch side of stuff is incredible, and salute to them, because you know the work ethic and the quality of the stuff they put out. And then as a label to still be able to put the label out, because I know that label, a lot of it's a label of love for him, because that's for sure. And to still love it and to still put stuff out and keep it fresh and in the mix. It's been in the mix this whole time.
All this time later, it's I mean, it's unheard of.
Yeah, it's impressive. I give it to him for that. I would say that. And that and cool shit and fucking and then right now you were bringing up, that was kind of part of the thing. I was glad to get you. You have a bunch of some new overseas stuff. Well, I don't even know if it's considered overseas, but Mexico. Yeah.
We never been to Mexico. We got hit up a couple months ago from this guy Renee, for shout out to Forza Bookings. But he basically, you know, he said, "Yo, we could fly you guys out to Mexico. We want you to play this festival." He's like, "I know you live in Florida. I know the guys live up north." He's like, "I got it covered. You guys want to come out and play?" And yo, for us, it's like that's a dream come true, man. Like, of course we fucking do, you know.
Yeah.
One show, Gorilla Biscuits. Stacked bill, you know. But I feel like for us and Gorilla Biscuits to get the shot, there's probably like a handful of hardcore bands. There's a lot of punk bands. There's some metal bands. It's a cool festival. I know Incendiary played it a few years ago. One of my friends from Incendiary told me, he's like, "Yo, the shit is fun as hell. Like you guys are gonna have the time of your life." But it's Off Limits Festival, so we're doing that October 7th, and the weekend of December 8th and 9th, we're going to Colombia for the first time. I'm really excited about this, man.
Yeah, those are cool. You're gonna have a good time out there.
Can't wait for that. Shout out to Carlos and Raw Brigade. Yo, Raw Brigade, I gotta tell you, man, for all these new bands in the game right now, like these kids are some of the most sincere kids to like the older bands. And you know, he really he reached out to me years ago, and he was like, "Yo, I gotta this is where Hoya, this is probably like, it's funny even for you, because I know you're a little older than me, but like he reached out to me and he was like, "Yo, in 2005, 2006, he's like, I was like 14. He's like, you were probably, you know, in your 20s, but he's like, you were writing shit and playing in hardcore bands when you were 14. And that shit inspired me to be in a band.
Yeah.
And he was like, in Colombia, we would bump your shit like all the time, you know? And he did a podcast a few weeks ago and he was talking about this and someone sent it to me. And he always tells me this story. And he's just telling me now, he's just like, yo, I can't wait for you to experience Colombia, because he's like, Colombia's got mad love for you guys. So he's like, I cannot wait for you guys to come to Colombia. So we've been trying to get to Colombia for 25 years.
Yeah, no, it's great out there. Like South America had a scene for the longest. I never forget. You know, I always knew Brazil. You know,
I always remember that you guys had a video shot there, right?
Yeah, yeah. And I always knew Brazil had an old punk scene in this, but then not to the early days, we were going there in Argentina, and then you find out how deep punk and just those roots were all over South America. And then throughout the years, we were lucky to go play Colombia and play, you know, Argentina a bunch of times. Amazing. And all over Brazil. And then you realize, listen, Colombia had a straight edge scene back then. Like, I remember, like, it was huge.
A big one.
Huge, a super huge. And I remember back, like, they had everything like here. You know, the straight edge scene, a skinhead scene with boneheads, where you know, like the same aesthetics.
Yes.
Gothic people. They had, you know, anarchists.
Emo, yeah.
The same thing they had. And I'll never forget, it was Pete. For Sick of It All, we were outside of series, and he had just got back from Brazil. It was one of the first times they went, and he came back. He goes, "Yo, Hoya, you gotta get to Brazil. They love Mad Boy." And I was like, "In Brazil?" I bugged out. I was like, "Really? In Brazil, they know who the like?"
It's
He's
cool,
like, "Yo,
man.
you don't understand." And I was like, "Yeah, you know." And then you go there. It's like, "Oh, forget it." It's like,
I can't wait, man. It's and you know, South America, it's got a different vibe than Europe.
Yeah.
It's definitely unique. So I used to work in Colombia in 2010. I had a job in Fort Lauderdale where the company would bring me to different places in Colombia. They had contracts with the government to work in like coal mines. And long story short, like I worked in logistics, some kind of like basically like support role. But they would fly me to the country. Now in 2008, 2009, Facebook just came out. And I posted on Facebook, you know, it was very infantile. I was accepting everybody as friends, and I posted, yo, going to Colombia for the first time, right? So I show up at this hotel, and these kids are in the lobby, and I get a call, and I'm at work, you know what I mean? And like my boss knew about my background and stuff, mad cool. And, you know, they were like at the lobby, they're like, yo, these two kids are here for you. One has a guitar with him. He's like, if you don't want us to let them in, we don't have to let them in. I was like, no, like, what do they want? He's like, no, they want to speak to you. And so I go to the lobby, and these kids have like our vinyl and like stickers and a sweatshirt, and they have like pens, and they're like, Mark, you know, come here, you know, please, can we take a picture with you? And it like blew my boss's mind. My boss's mind was like officially blown.
Yeah.
But these kids were so cool. And they told me they took a 3-hour bus ride. And that was my Colombia story. And ever since that day, I've been trying to get to Colombia. I'm like, yo, we got to play Colombia.
You got to go there, and there you go. Yeah.
So it was an experience, man. But people, they got mad love for New York hardcore all over South America. And, you know, I constantly get messages from Brazil. I'm sure you do too. Chile seems to be
it's Chile is ridiculous. Chile is like New York in the 90s. You know, at least
crazy. I seen you guys play with the fire pit. I don't know if it was Sworn Enemy. There was like a fire pit in the middle.
Yeah, it's their flares going off. Like there's a guaranteed riot every time. Like it's all, you know, everything you would want in mayhem, because it's all for you. You know, it's never against you, but it's always for you. You know, but it's crazy. I gotta say, Chile got the title for like every time in Chile was insane. But I think it might have been the first or second time, but we were playing the spot and a big ass theater, and it was, you know, sold out. It was packed. It was insane. And you know, we're waiting to go on, and the feeling in the place was, I was with my boy Dougie, and I go, this is what Slayer must feel every night. It felt like the crowd wanted us to tell them to kill everybody. Like they wanted to destroy. Like I never felt that anywhere in my life. Not New York with that people swinging what had ball chains and all that, whatever. This was some other shit. Yeah, this was like some apocalypto shit. It felt like.
Oh
like, yo, like if we would say, let's sacrifice that guy, yo, they would shred him. You know, and I was like, but hardcore. I'm talking about vegan straight edge kids, Gorilla Biscuit shirts,
Crazy.
throwing rocks at the police, like
Wow.
real shit. Like
Wow.
not in a photo, like we're watching them through the windows. They're with masks on, Gorilla Biscuit shirts, Warzone shirts, and they're throwing rocks at the police. Yo, this is every time in Chile. Everybody's like a given, but they're like they're gonna show up. They don't got enough money to go to the show, everybody, but they want to see you come through or just be there and love it. You know what I mean? You guys are gonna have a blast.
You're gonna have a part of the experience of playing hardcore all over the world. You know, different scenes, different pockets. Have you guys ever been to Indonesia?
Yeah, we got to do that. Insane. We got to do Jakarta and Bandung. We played, so
that was probably an experience.
Absolutely, you know that because that's like some weird in between. You know, we've got to do Japan, which we love.
Great.
So it was like an in between, like its own thing in Asia. You know, it has its own vibe. It's
definitely.
You know, it's cool to again when you see hardcore kids in these places, you bug out. You know what I mean?
I do. You know, I live for this shit. And when you like, I remember specifically Japan and Australia. We were lucky enough to go to Japan twice, and the second time we went to Japan, the love they have, man, like with the waiting, you know, you go on at like 2 a.m. You have to wait until 4 a.m. speaking to every kid after the show because they wait online they take a picture with you. This is back in the 90s, bro. Like they didn't post it to social media. They kept it on their camera.
Yeah.
But you remember they had the little books like that kind of looked like graduation books, but you had to sign their book after the show. So, you know, and some of them brought presents for you. Like Steve was a Star Wars fan. And on that tour, like there were people bringing him Star Wars memorabilia, and he had bags of Star Wars toys like on the plane, bringing it home.
Yeah,
so
it's
shit
great.
like that is, man, that's very unique. It's a special part. Like people got mad love for hardcore and New York hardcore in general.
And let me ask this because I just remembered, you know, I saw you at the Turnstile Blink show.
Yeah.
Are you listening to anybody new?
I fucking love Turnstile. Not that they're new.
Yeah,
but that was my daughter. Funny story about that show. My daughter was obsessed with Blink. She's 9 years old. Her name is Harley. And my son Julian, who's just turned 14, my brother Joe took him out of town, but he is obsessed with Turnstile.
Oh, get out of here.
We wound up getting tickets last minute to the show from a friend. Shout out to the special friend who hooked me up. Not gonna blow him up online, but you know, we went and Turnstile played, and my son called me. He goes, "You're at Turnstile without me." And we were with my daughter, and it turned out that the seats we had were basically family seats of the band, and we were sitting. So then they gave us wristbands to go on the floor. So we took my daughter on the floor during Blink, and she sang every song like right at the barricade, like she was like having the time of her life. It was pretty fun. We videotaped it. It was a great night. Yeah, but for newer bands, like as far as new hardcore bands,
in general, everything. In general, anything.
I mean, right now I'm listening to End It. I really like End It. I like Combust. I definitely like some of the stuff coming out of the straight edge scene. Believe it or not, I love Magnitude. Inclination is really, really good. You know, as far as bands, probably there's just so many good bands out right now. There's a band called Simulacra.
Yeah, they're great. They're hard. I love them.
No, they're hard. Like it's funny. Shout out to Simulacra. We met them in Europe. They were on tour with No Warning from Canada, who were doing some dates. And you know, I showed up to the show, and one of the kids in Simulacra had a Confusion shirt on. Yeah, and I looked at him and I go, "Yo, that's my brother's band." And he goes, "Wait, who are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm in Shutdown." And I'll be honest, it didn't bother me one bit. I could tell he really didn't know Shutdown, but he fucking loved Confusion.
Yeah, that's great. When you find those,
it blew my mind. So I FaceTime my brother Mike.
There you go.
And I go, "Yo, I just got out of a bus in Europe. It's the first show. We're in the Netherlands. And this kid just pulled up right next to me. And I pull up next to the bass player from Simulacra. And my brother Mike is bugging. And he's like, yo, people got so much love for Confusion now ever since Days put it out." Yeah. And, you know, but Simulacra is really good.
Because there's some that's more the, you know, the crossover type stuff. There's a lot of that stuff coming out that I like now. I think for a minute, everything was getting a very technical metal. Like, you know, I love the metal shit, but it was getting very on that new
too metal.
Too technical for too technical for my liking. But now the metal that's coming back, there's more of that thrash shit and just kind of just like riff type thrash.
Drain
And
does that very well.
You know, yeah, they got that good. And there's even just a lot of, just in general, there's a lot. You know, I fuck with a lot is Spirit World. Like these bands, they're like,
yeah, I gotta check them out more. I've
they're
heard
like,
a few things. I know they tour with AF out in Europe.
Yeah, they're dope. These dudes, you know, some hardcore dudes, but it's this thrash. It's just this like, I don't even know what you call it, but to me, it got that vibe of the thrash, the metal I like, and it just got
There's
a style.
definitely a resurgence, you know. It started, you know, Power Trip did it best. Let's face it.
Yeah,
but you know, now that they're not around, there is definitely some bands carrying the torch that are hard as nails, man. Hardcore is really topping out. I mean, there's so much good new shit out there. Like, you got me thinking now, like, damn, I forgot this band, I forgot that band. There's a lot of good new shit.
You know, Texas right now they're killing it. We're like on that heavy shit, you know, Kubla Khan, all those like bands, they're fucking hard, like heavy on that groove shit in Texas. Crazy. Texas right now got a lot of
quick, man. They went, you know, they were playing hardcore shows not that long ago, and they're doing big metal tours now.
Yeah, we played a fest with them over there. I'm gonna get them on the podcast and murked it. You know, total that style I fuck with. That's the shit I like. Like it's groove and real heavy style.
Like that. They're not thrashy, but they're heavy, like groovy.
Yeah, like Knock Loose is great, but they're more like on some wild, like on the post-apocalyptic type shit. You know what I mean? It's like a different, like Code Orange. I like them too. That's that's like that end of the world, like Terminator metal. You know what I mean?
It is.
That's what when I hear that shit, I think of that. You know, shout out to them, man. I'm glad that the metal stuff got interesting again, because
it definitely did, and the beatdown stuff did too. By the way, I mean, let's face that. I mean, there's bands out there. I think it's Hold My Own and the other band that just went on tour with Simulacra. I can't think of the band's name right now, but there's so much. There's a lot of stuff coming out of Detroit.
Yeah. Detroit has a lot.
D-Block is killing it.
Yeah, no, for sure.
You know, and I think it is Hold My Own from Detroit. You know, there's a lot of good new bands out there. And it's all over, which is really crazy, right? I mean, like I think Oklahoma's having a big hardcore festival with all these dope bands. And I'm like, yo, back then in the 90s, Oklahoma wasn't a spot for me, but if it was, I would have played there tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we played Oklahoma one time. It was Madball, Hatebreed, Scarhead, or either Hatebreed was still on it or Blood for Blood at the time. Earth Crisis, Scarred Us, and there was probably, besides the bands, there was probably 5 people there.
You know, and now they're doing 1,000-person festivals.
Now I remember, insane, and I'm glad, because it was just like all these other spots are like even in Florida. You know, South Florida had a scene, but again, the North Florida is starting to have those fests in Gainesville. You know, Gainesville always had a fest. And now they're having the other one up there, the FYA. What was the one? Yeah, that one. Oh, that's great. That brings shit back to Florida. You know, it gives bands a reason to be down here to play and say, hey, we could play that fest one day.
That's a dope fest. And there's a band like Broward. Yo, like there's a club, you've probably been to it, around the corner from my house in right over here in Margate. It's called O'Malley's.
Yeah.
And it's a dive bar. It's a shithole.
Now
look at on shows there. These kids.
I haven't been there, but they've been throwing mad hardcore shows there. Like,
shout out to Equinox Booking.
Yes.
You know, so the kid in Equinox, really cool kid. Long story short, Joe Hardcore played there last year. Yeah. They played a festival, and Combust played the same festival, and I took Julian to his first hardcore show.
I was supposed to go to that show, and I got caught up. I remember, because I was like, Margate, I'm gonna roll up, and I live around the corner.
I could walk there. That's how close I live to it.
Wow, that's dope.
I live literally less than a mile from that club. So he in the neighborhood behind the club. So he, you know, he came down and he, you know, he's like, you know, the kids in Equinox Booking, and he introduced me, and shout out to Body Blow, of course, they played.
Oh yeah, that's the fam right there.
That's the fam right there. That's the fam. I mean, these, don't even get me started on these kids. I forgot to mention them. How did I not forget? How did I forget?
Yeah. No, that's Florida. That's Florida. That's South Florida right there.
So they played, and I wound up bringing my kid, and I said, Joe, this is his first hardcore show. And you know, Joe, bro, he's all love. You know, he takes him in. He's like talking to him, making him feel special, you know. And I'm like telling my kid, I'm like, he puts on This Is Hardcore. And he's like, the ones from the videos? And I said, yeah. And my kid was like, you know, his first hardcore show. He was like, everything was cool and amazing to him. But shout out to this band from Broward, is why I brought it up. This band called Domains.
Yep.
And they're mad good, man. They're on Days Records. They're putting a record out, and there's a lot of shit going on here, dude. There's packed shows every weekend in either Miami or
I know. I'm Gramps. I love that spot. They're
There's a
having a
show
lot of
tomorrow in a VFW hall in Hollywood at
Okay,
American Legion Hall. It's a festival tomorrow and Saturday.
we'll
And
get
or I'm
at it.
sorry, Friday and Saturday.
Where in
And
Hollywood?
in Hollywood, American Legion Hall in Hollywood. It's a 2-day festival.
Hit me up
And
and send me that.
I will.
So let
And
me know where that is because let me.
yeah,
It's good to
and
know.
it's gonna be dope. Like there's a lot of great bands playing.
Yeah, that's it's good to that's that was the one thing I was glad. Like back in the day, AF always made it down here. We made it down here. Guys would
played it
make
a
it to the
lot.
Miami. They'll do the Miami, Fort Lauderdale. Back in the day, I
Yeah.
actually even played in Kendall, where I was living, real South Florida.
Really,
Like,
Kendall shows in
yeah,
Kendall.
insane. It was what to be able to play there. It's like people were like, "Yo, you played here." I was like going to drop my father off at dialysis or some shit. They're like, "You played this
God.
mall like 30 years ago." I was like, "Oh shit." And
That's
it's
how
like,
it is in Florida. South Florida. Do you remember what was it? Cheers in Miami
Yeah,
before.
of course. That was
Treasures?
Cheers was the first spot we ever played in Miami.
Same. That was the same for us. How about this? This was my first show in Miami. You know who else's first show was? Chad from Shai Halud.
Yeah.
Our first show together was Shutdown, Indecision. A Shutdown and Indecision did an East Coast tour. I was 16. Chad was 14.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah.
No, I'll give you the Chad story because the funny Chad story about that too. So when I first met Chad, he's like, "Yo," I remember that Cheers show to this day because number one, it was the first time when we used to have a joke. We used to go, "How many Latinos in the house?" And obviously, it was just me. No, usually it's me and Freddie. That was the joke.
Yeah. Usually, yeah.
Now we're in Cheers. How many Latinos? The whole place.
Yeah, that's
and
what
I never forget that, right? So that was the first time I met, because I'm part Nicaraguense, and I met the first time I met mad Nica kids. Down here's a lot of Nicaraguan kids. Skip. I'm like, I'm bugging out that there's so many hardcore Nica kids. Blah blah blah. Right? The show. Fast forward, I go meet Chad. So Chad goes, "Yo, first time I saw you was at Cheers." He goes, "I was the only white kid there." And I go, "You were," because it was literally all Spanish kids. He goes,
I don't know if you remember the kids from Brethren.
Yeah, of course. Brethren. That's the OGs from down here.
Alex from Roundhouse Records.
Yeah.
So all those kids were Latino. So Chad was and Matt Fox. Chad and Matt Fox were the only white guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Funny, no. And even Chad goes, his mom drove him there. Same thing.
No, his mom was the best. His mom always drove him there.
Yeah, it was that around the same time when he went to you. He goes, but it was funny. He goes, "I was the only white kid." Then I go, "You literally were." Besides, Maddie Henderson, on stage and shit.
Yeah, I could believe it. That was Miami was special. But a funny story about that is when the guys in my band are always except for Dion, were 2 years older than me. So 18, Miami, first time. What do you want to do? You want to go South Beach? You want to go see Miami, right? I wasn't young enough. I wasn't old enough, rather. So neither was Chad. So Chad's like, "Yo, forget those guys." He's like, "We'll go mac on some chicks. My mom will pick us up. She'll take us to the amusement park over here, Boomers or whatever it was called."
Yeah, Boomer.
And we went and his mom drove us to Boomers and dropped us off. And we proceeded to like play air hockey and try to pick up chicks and walk around. And it was mad fun. And it was just so funny. Like they were in Miami, like, doing their thing. And we're at fucking Boomers, like being little kids.
That's amazing. Florida is an amazing place. Shout out to Chad out there. I love you, Chad.
Much love to Chad. Hopefully he's still getting better, and I know he's on tour right now, but he's still taking care of himself. I got so much love for Chad. Yo, really quick, a Chad story. Right before the pandemic, Newfound Glory played with. They were on a headlining tour. It was the December before the pandemic, right before Chad got sick. It was November or October, actually, 2019, and Julian listened to Newfound Glory before he listened to Turnstile. He was getting into pop punk before he got into hardcore. That was the progression for this kid. Chad hooked us up with tickets. We went. He brought Julian on the bus, gave him the full experience, brought him. He got a pick from the band. He was right up front singing every word, and it was the time of his life. And we got some great pictures. Julian to this day talks about how much fun he had, all because of Chad. And then unfortunately, he got sick like a month later. But shout out to Chad for always taking care of us. So much love for him, man. Love you, Chad. Hope you keep getting better.
Yeah, no, for sure. Shout out to Chaddy. He's out there doing his thing. And I said, you ain't stopping that guy. He's gonna keep going.
And he's a great superhero.
And when you and let me ask, going back to the re-recording of these songs, when was that re-recorded? When did you do that?
Man, I'll tell you, they did it almost a year ago and waited on my dumb ass to come up to
Okay.
New York and record the vocals because I just took
Okay.
forever. So
Yeah,
much
you
stuff
did.
going on in my life, Hoya, with the
Yeah,
kids, and
I know
it's
that
just tough,
does.
man. But when I finally got up there, I did the songs in a weekend. I spent basically the weekend with Jerry and just was in the studio all weekend doing the songs. And now we have, for a next release, the guys already finished everything. Everything's done except the vocals for 7 more songs.
Okay, I was
So
just about to ask you
yeah.
exactly what's next. Do they got you got new songs, a
Yeah,
new
we got new songs. The
everything?
lyrics are done. It's just getting up to record. So I'm going to go up between the next 2 shows, sometime between October and December for the weekend, and get to record. And then the idea is to release that. It's called By Your Side. That's the title track. And that's going to come out on vinyl and digitally, hopefully sometime January, February on Equal Vision.
How many songs?
So we have 7. I think we're going to do like 5 to 6. It's going to be an EP.
On EP. That's
Yeah,
dope.
we're going to
And when
narrow
you
it down.
and when is that supposed to drop?
January, February.
Oh, January 1st.
Yeah.
Also, it's gonna start coming up. And you said the music is recorded already?
Everything's done. Yeah, leads,
Oh,
the guitar, the backups, everything. I
everything.
just got to get up and do the vocals.
Oh, all right. And any idea for the artwork and all that bullshit? Did you do
We're
that
working
yet?
on it. We're working on it now. I got some, thank God, it's funny. You work with people in this business for so long and in this industry that like people that used to draw on pieces of paper are now like fucking world famous artists.
Yeah.
So I reached out, thank God. And it's crazy, bro. God bless all of them, that do well, that made a living out of it, that we remember like just fucking drawing flyers for us back in the day.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
I hit a couple up. Hopefully some of them will, do something. But yeah, no, we don't have any artwork yet.
Yeah, so you got to start. Everybody out there, start flooding the mailboxes and
please, I would love
start
that.
sketching.
Please, I'll tell you, we're always down for anything. Our albums have always been picture collages and shit like that. Like Victory put together the first record, which was basically just pictures on the cover against all odds, and then few and far between. Shout out to Mike Ski from Brothers Keeper.
Mike Ski. I haven't heard that name in a second.
Bro, and now he's a tattoo artist in Philly.
Yeah, he's been tattooing for a minute, but he's been like out of the mix. I haven't heard from him.
A little bit. He went to like, the Cali Takeover shows. He goes to shows here and there, probably out of our mix more than the mix. But
yeah,
I stay in touch with him. He's on Instagram and Facebook and everything. Yeah. And when we were doing the H2O shows a few years ago, he was actually going to come. And then the whole COVID was going on and off back then too, back in 2021.
Yeah, for sure. That's crazy. And the new stuff is what's it like? Is it you just keeping it shut down, or are you trying to do something?
I'll tell you what, it's the most evolved. I think people are going to love it or hate it. Let me just say that to you. I love it. I fucking love it. It's definitely progressive. It's hardcore, but it's more in the vein of the progression of where Gorilla Biscuits took Civ. So it's kind of like, I'm not going to call it, I believe me when I tell, I'm not going to use the word radio friendly, but it is friendly to the ears.
I know you mean a little bit more on the indie side of shit.
Like, there's hooks, there's choruses, it's more well thought, and it's generic as fuck from a hardcore standpoint, which is how we've always been. By Your Side is the name of the EP, but we always felt like that message, the PMA message, stuck with the band. It was part of our identity. We were positive hardcore. That was what we did. So like the message of playing that kind of music always stuck with the band. So I'm very into it. I think people are going to be blown away by it, hopefully in a good way. It's different though. It is different. It definitely a hardcore record, 100%. It's not a heavy hardcore record.
Yeah.
It's got more hooks and more on the punk side, which is different than Few and Far Between, which was more of a heavier record.
And and was this a conscious thing, or it was just what these guys were writing, or did you hear it all at once? You heard a bunch of shit and you're like, wow, this is different.
Bro, so it's funny you say that. So Dion was writing during the pandemic and sending us shit, and he wrote
shout
this
out to Dion.
Yo, shout out to Dion, man. The ultimate. I love Dion. And he was writing music during the pandemic in his garage and sending us fucking clips of it on his phone in a group message. And some of it was really good. And he would write these hooks, like kind of like Calling My Brothers Ignite style hooks with the bass, which I love.
I love that shit. I know.
And he has a son like myself with autism. And he wrote this song about his son. And it's called By Your Side. Or What Are You Thinking? Excuse me. It's called What Are You Thinking? By Your Side's a different song. And it's a real like friendly to the ears song, I'll call it. And it's fucking great. It's a great song. You feel the song when you play it, when you listen to it, you feel the fucking song, and it's about his kid. What are you thinking? And if you know about autism, just think about the lyric, think about the words to What Are You Thinking? You know? And that's how it started. We put that song together. We were like, fuck, like this is a good song. This is like a real fucking song. It's got like
Yeah.
hooks and this shit is good. And then it went from there where like I felt like I couldn't deliver on the song vocally unless I improved my voice. And that started a year ago. So I started doing those Melissa Cross tapes and trying to improve my shit so people wouldn't just think, yo, he's a high-pitched screamer, which back then, when we were young, well, back 25 years ago, I was a unique voice. Now you got 12, 24 singers with high-pitched voices.
Yeah.
I always try to separate myself. So on this record, there's definitely more singing for the better.
Yeah.
I think, and Dion's hooks and there's more leads by Steve. It's cool. Like for us, it's an evolved record. We're in our 40s. We're still playing music. We love hardcore. I take it from almost like the way Start Today went to Set Your Goals with Civ.
Yeah. And that seems right where you should be doing. You ain't gonna put out a fucking a coda what do you call it? What do you call these guys? Knock Loose record, you know what I mean? It's like that's
not for us, it's not
exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah, me too. I was like, but yeah, exactly. It will be out of pocket, and it's like, so you got these songs right now. Is the plan moving forward? Next, all right, you got the record. It comes out January, February. I know you guys are playing. You pick shows and stuff, but are you planning to work that album? As far as trying to tour as much as you can, you can tour.
Definitely. We're trying to put a map together for 24. Europe is in the mix for sure. The festivals. That's why we did this tour this year. You couldn't just go and jump on the festivals not being around for so long. We had to do something from a headlining or co-headlining perspective. So this was all part of the plan this year. Like it was a 2-year plan. So next summer, hopefully with the record out, will be just 2 or 3 weeks of festivals, maybe a week of mix shows. If we go twice for 2 weeks, we're never going to do more than like 10 to 14 days at a time.
Yeah, of course.
But South America is definitely being talked about right now. I have a guy in Asia that wants us to go. We've been to Japan twice. There is a crowd there that wants to see us. So the most important thing for us is get into the pockets that we never did in the States yet. So California is in the cards. Texas is in the cards. Funny you talked about Texas before. I have so many friends in Texas. Bro, I'm sure you remember clubs like Fitzgerald's in Houston.
Of course.
And Dallas, that one club in Dallas, I can't think of the name, but then you had emos in Austin.
There was something cafe. There was the emo.
That's it. The Wacky's Deli in San Antonio.
Whatever.
I mean, you could play a week in Texas to sold out crowds and everybody knows the words and everybody, it's like a whole different area there.
Yeah.
So we've been hit up a lot from Texas. So shout out to Texas. I want to get back to Texas. We do have plans to do stuff. You
guys got any merch, any new merch or nothing? Let people know where they could get the merch.
All that. Working on a merch store right now. Just keep your ears peeled to the Shutdown Instagram page. So it's shutdownnewyorkhardcore.com or newyorkhardcore.com. I don't even want to say that. I don't even know how .com. I'm stuck in the fucking ice age. It's at Shutdown.
I keep calling earbuds headphones, and my son goes headphones. I said, yo, go get my Walkman and shit. I'm like, yo, where's the Walkman?
It's scary, man. It's scary when it's happening to me, but it's at Shutdown New York Hardcore on Instagram. And then on Facebook, it's just straight Shutdown. And we always post like what we're doing and keep up to date. And we're going to have a merch store. We're just kind of working out the kinks to it right now. Before the end of the year, there'll be a full merch store up. We've been doing it on our own now. Dion has his address up like public and like you can message Dion right now and pick up a hoodie, a t-shirt, whatever you want, because we had some leftovers from Europe. Yeah,
that's good shit. No, and definitely, I'm glad I was able to get you on. I want you to, when you guys over there in Mexico, whatever, send me a minute, minute clip update, and we blast it on the show so we can see what's going on out there.
Bro, I'll take one with the Gorilla Biscuits guys, and we'll send you
definitely get them up. Send me a clip, an update, and we're gonna play it on the show. And I'm glad. And then when the record comes out, when you're further along, even when when you got stuff further along, let us know what's up, and we'll get the whole band on. We could get the whole band on.
I appreciate you, bro. I appreciate what you're doing for our scene. I appreciate that. I remember your first episode. I know it was years ago, but I do remember the first episode and you promoting it like hell and just being like, yo, this is my shit. I'm sticking with it. I'm doing it. And to see where it grew now. And I was just talking to my wife about it before. Like, she was like, yo, that's so cool. Like for me to be on now, it's even more special than having been an early guest. Cause I'm like, yo, I watched the evolution of this shit.
And I'm glad and thank you for saying, for sure. We ain't going nowhere with this. I was like, this is how I could continue to. I got new music and all that shit coming out, but this is something that I love. I always love being around music, what's cracking in my scene, and this is how we do our part. I can say I do my part, but I enjoy doing it. So at the same time,
that's the most important
I'm giving back and I'm getting from it. So it ain't, again, I do this to keep it rocking, to keep tabs with everybody. We probably would have just seen each other in passing. This is how I stay in contact with a lot of my old friends too. Gives me a reason to to talk shit
Shoot
with
the
them.
shit, bro. I appreciate it, and you know, I thank you, man, because for us, just having an outlet for anyone to listen to our music, there may be some kids that never checked us out before, and they're gonna watch this shit, and who knows how old they are? They could be when I was young. I was 14 when I heard this shit. They could literally be checking us out through this podcast and going to and checking us out, falling down the Shutdown rabbit hole on it. You can go on YouTube and fall down the rabbit hole and see all the videos and shows.
Exactly. And that's why we make it a point.
If you ever have any questions, we got to be there for each other, bro. That's what hardcore is about. Shout out, just real quick. It's almost 9/11. And for me, 9/11 is a shout out to Rabies. He passed away in 97, but any 9/11, of course, other than 9/11/01, I think of Rabies because it's just crazy how things hit hard in your life. Like, doing this podcast a few days before his anniversary. And then last year, like my daughter being born right before it, and the year before us being in another country. It's just like crazy how I feel in my brain, people look out for you beyond the dead. And I'm telling you the God's honest truth, people will attest to this. Like, I feel like Rabies is like that for me. He's always like, we got to play in 2019 at a place called Sound of Revolution on the Warzone stage. And that was our first show back. It's like,
I know you made that. It works. Some things you don't ask why. You just enjoy it. Like shit, you just
enjoy it, and just like kind of in your heart where it comes from. So shout out to him. Rest in peace. All these years later, we don't never forget him. And thank you, Hoya, for real. I always wish the best, Madball or no Madball. For me, you are a special person in our scene. Definitely one of the best bass players ever.
Thank you. You know what's up, and we're out here. Hopefully, we're planning to bring more attention to South Florida. I know you too. Same thing with us.
I love South Florida. I'm all about it.
Yeah, exactly. And again, shout out to you. Shout out to all your brothers. Whenever anybody, they got 100 brothers, 100 bands, bring it through.
Shout out to all of them: Mike, John, Kevin, and Joe.
Exactly. Ronnie, Bobby, Ricky, and Mike. You got the whole crew. Yeah, all the whole fam.
Thank you for reminding me to shout out the kids. Of course, I got to shout
out
Julian and Carmelo, my two boys.
Of course, the kids
battling COVID at their mom's house right now.
You know how it is, but hopefully everything's smooth. Yeah, it's going around, but
it's going around.
We got to build these immune systems and make it stronger.
Yeah, man, and they're doing good. They're getting stronger every day. And shout out to my two girls, Harley and my little baby Josie, who's 13 months now. And shout out to my perfect, amazing wife, who literally she does this shit like she's just a natural. You know what I mean? I don't know how she does it, to be honest, because I'm like this kid.
And so shout out to your sperm cells for getting around that hernia and still, making it to happen. So. Yo, listen, everybody, go check out Shutdown. Go see them. Go look out for the updates. Go cop some t-shirts. This is going to drop tomorrow. I'll send you all the info when I drop this shit, all right?
Thank you, bro. Much love to you guys. Thank you so much for having me on.
You know the deal. We out of here. Go support that. Yo, we out of here. Smokin Word Podcast. Peace. I'll hit you up, Mark. We out of here. Bye.